Hey, well, when we're looking at team gifts and incentives, of course, we're going to have to ship those out somehow, right? And so I'm going to tell you some basic things that I would recommend having on hand and that I do to mail and make things really easy to ship from home. You've already learned some about Pirateship. I'm going to show you a couple of other tricks, but also just some things to have on hand. So I do keep doTERRA's envelopes that they send products in sometimes on hand to recycle, like Laura said, and that's a great thing to have, but I don't often have enough of those on hand. So I love these purple envelopes that I've just gotten from Amazon. They have all kinds of different colors, but I think it's just kind of fun to receive a gift in a colorful envelope. And of course, purple is a great color for doTERRA gifts. I also have some different types of cards on hand, congratulations cards, some that I've designed that are just like, this goes to a top and roller, and I've designed it very simply in Canva. Or you've just won a gift from a Facebook class or something like that. So I kind of have those on hand. And sometimes I like to pop in, if it's a congratulatory type gift, I found these little printable cards that I can pop into a gift. So I like to have those kind of things on hand, and they're right above my desk in the part that you can't see. I also recommend, always having a lot of printer paper on hand. And then if you're printing your own labels, you'll want packing tape. You can also purchase, I don't have any at the moment, I'm out, but you can purchase label paper so you can print directly onto the label and then just peel the backing off and put that on your package. That makes it even easier. I keep forgetting to reorder that, so I've been doing the packing tape method lately. I also like to save the boxes that sometimes our orders come in. I usually don't save the ones that are any bigger than this, but this size and the smaller size boxes, it is really nice to recycle. I usually just cover up the label, take off any labels that are on the sides, but cover up the label that's on the top. You can also turn our boxes inside out. I don't know if you realize that, but they are made to very easily recycle and use again by popping out and turning completely inside out, and it'll fold over and make a whole new box that's just cardboard, none of the doTERRA print or any of the labels. Something else you'll definitely want to have handy. I like to have a paper cutter handy because if I am cutting labels, I'll print them two to a page. And then if I'm cutting them, it just makes it simple, really fast before I tape it down to the package. Again, if you get the labels though, you can get the kind that are already perforated down the middle so that you can just pull off each side. You'll want to have a ruler on hand if you're going to be using Pirateship. They'll want the measurements of whatever package you're sending and some type of a scale. I have a Pampered Chef kitchen scale. That's just what I have. It does have the digital ounces on there, and that's really all you need to break it down. It breaks it down to tenths of an ounce, which is important. But any type of scale, whether it's specifically for mailing or just a cheap kitchen scale, will work. Digital is best so that you can break it down into those ounces. So I'm just going to show you a couple of little tricks with Pirateship that are really handy as well. All right, here is YouTube. I was uploading another of these videos. All right, so when I go to Pirateship to create a shipping label like Laura showed you, I can put in an address of someone that I've sent something to before. I'm just going to put in my own address. And then I have, there's a couple of things here that you might want to know about. If you click rubber stamps, that will actually add a couple of lines onto your label. So I could go in here and type congratulations or happy birthday or whatever, and that'll actually show up on the label that I'm going to be printing. So it's kind of fun if you want that to be added on the actual label. And then you'll pick your ship from address. This is nice because you can actually have multiple ship from addresses. So if sometimes you're shipping from your office or you happen to be traveling and you're shipping from somewhere else, you can put a different ship from address and it will adjust the calculations accordingly. I do have a lot of saved packages in here. So if you're sending a box and you've never sent that size of box before, then you would just have to enter the dimensions. I quite frequently send this size. It's a 4.5 by 7 bubble mailer with a 10 milliliter roller or with a 15 milliliter oil, but I'll select that. And so then it automatically has put in the dimensions, but I might want to add something extra, or I might not be sending a roller at all. I might be sending a 15 milliliter oil, And then I might need to make sure that it's still the correct dimension. So maybe I want to put a card in there. Maybe I'm going to pop a couple of extra little samples or something like that in there. So it might actually end up weighing a little bit more. Or maybe I'm even going to put in a couple of oils, and that's fine because all I have to do to change it is click modify package. So the dimensions are the same, but the ounces might be different. I didn't show you this, but I have in my drawer right under my printer, I have a couple of different sizes of purple mesh drawstring bags. So I could put, maybe I've got a sample bottle and a roller and a 15 ml oil. I'm going to put them all in here and put a card in the package. Now, if you're concerned, if you don't think that your bubble mailers are sturdy or protective enough for what you're sending, you could always wrap these in some extra paper, like what doTERRA sends in our packages now, or bubble wrap if you still have some of that left over. I've never had a problem with that, but if I were sending maybe a glass bottle that's empty or something, I might do that. So put everything in the envelope here with the gift, and then I'll use my kitchen scale here, see how much it actually weighs. This one happens to weigh 3.4 ounces since I did add some things to it. So I just come in here and change the number of ounces. The dimensions are the same. I don't need to change anything else. If I wanted to, I could get signature confirmation. I could add insurance. I could even send a resource book, and I could click the button that says qualifies for media mail. And I do have some larger envelopes that I keep on hand for exactly that. So they're not pretty purple ones, but these are good sizes for the larger books or the smaller versions of the oil resource books. So I keep those on hand, and you can send the media mail this way too, which makes it much less expensive. All right, so then if I realized, I'm going to send this same exact package out to like 10 people, and I have the same 3 oils going in, and I don't want to have to come in here and type that, I could reset my default by clicking here on update saved package. So then every time I go back in to use that saved package in that list, it'll say it weighs 3.4 ounces. So it's really handy to have some different saved packages in here. I have a lot of different sizes. I have, even when I was just sending out rank advancement gifts one month and there were a lot of them, I just saved that, and I could go back in there and delete it, but I haven't. So then I would say get rates, and I'm not actually going to pay for this, of course, but it'll give me the different rates, which I believe you've seen with Laura's video, different options there. So I usually do the cheapest, but if I needed to go faster, I could still do priority mail from home. And if I want it to be a future date that I'm going to ship it, I could change the date here. I have it charging my card $10 at a time. So instead of every time, if I sit down to do mailers, a lot of times I'm doing 5, 10, 15, 20 of them at a time. And my debit card will flag that if I have several charges of $2.74 in a row, it's going to shut down my card and think maybe there's something fraudulent going on and I have to call the bank. So instead of doing that, I have it come out in $10 increments. So right now, every time I use it, if I don't have a balance currently, it'll just go ahead and charge $10. And then I have the leftover to use for next time. You could set that to however much you want, if you want to do $100 at a time or whatever. So I'm not going to actually pay for that. I'm going to go into my previous labels, and because I went, whoops, I'm not actually going to send that. Or maybe I realize I need to add something to it. So I hadn't bought the label yet. I can cancel and delete that label. I could have done that before. I just forgot to show you that. So then what I can do is, when maybe I've done a whole bunch at once and they're all in here at the same time, and I want to print them. So let's see, I don't have more than one. Well, let's just pretend I have these 2. I want to print 2 labels. So I can select here to print 2 on a page, or I could do different sizes, but I just do the 8.5 by 11, 2 per page, and I can print those. And and then I can cut those out, or if I had the label paper, go ahead and separate them and affix those. And then I could say schedule pickup. I would go in here, request pickup. My only option is USPS, and say this is where you're picking it up. And it's gonna be at my front door, or I could say, knock on door or ring bell. So if I want, and a lot of times I do that, knock on the door or ring the doorbell to get the packages because I don't want to just leave them outside. Maybe it's really hot and I have some chocolates in there. Actually, I wouldn't send that when it's hot, but maybe I'm concerned about something melting, or maybe I live in a neighborhood where something might get stolen or something like that. So I could require knock on the door to get the packages, and I would say I don't have any priority, but I could. So I had two first class packages. They don't even weigh a pound. They each weigh, a few ounces, but I could say 1 pound because you have to put in the weight estimate in pounds. And then I would just click request pickup, and it would pick up the next day at my regularly scheduled delivering time. And it's free. So whatever time you normally get your mail, that's when they would come. But if you needed it at a specific time, you would have to go to the US Postal Service website, and then it would cost $23 to have it at a specific time. So we're home a lot, especially now, right? So we're really flexible with that. So those are just some of the little nuances that I wanted to show you with um, Pirateship. There are also options in here. You could upload a list, you could import a list if you are mailing a lot of something and you want that just to be real easy. I usually just go to single and then I type in the names and do exactly what you've seen. Another nice thing that you can do in here is you can see when it's been delivered. So I realized, oh, all those packages I sent for Mother's Day have been delivered. Great, because it's Friday and I wanted to make sure that those got there on time. And I can see that. And with the way my mom lives, I know she lives in an RV and her mail comes to another address. So I might text her and say, hey, make sure dad picks up the mail sometime this weekend. There's something there for you. So that's really just a nice feature that if I've sent samples, I can go, oh, look at that. Those have been delivered and I haven't heard from that person. Or I want to make sure I send that person a text with the video that I created for them to show them how to use their samples. So those are just some little tips on sending out team gifts and incentives. I hope that you found it helpful.